This is truly horrific. If you thought these Trump rallies could not get any worse, apparently they could. And that's what I have for you in this segment. We will be checking in on Harris campaigning as well in the segment, so do stick around for that. But Trump just completed his second rally of the day. This was in North Carolina. And I do have clips from that. But actually, in the last segment I did on his first rally, I missed in Pennsylvania something horrific that happened. And that was him saying what you're about to hear. As you're listening to this, do please support our effort in getting to 1 million subscribers. It's not membership. It's not paid. It's just YouTube subscription to support the growth of the show by clicking that subscribe button. And so many of you have been doing it, so thank you so much. It really means a lot. Yesterday, I think we got like 7,000 subscribers in a day. Unbelievable. And we're so close to 1 million. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think we just may hit the goal by Election Day. Here's from
a little bit of intelligence. And I have a piece of glass over here. And I don't have a piece of glass there. And I have this piece of glass here. But all we have really over here is the fake news, right? And to get me, somebody would have to shoot through the fake news. And I don't mind that so much, because I don't mind that.
I don't mind that, referring to someone shooting through the fake news or having to get through the fake news, as he calls them, to get to him. We've heard a lot of things. I didn't know his rhetoric about the press could get worse. He said the government should come down hard on media outlets he doesn't like. He said CBS should be taken off the air. ABC should be taken off the air. He's called members of the press criminals, fake news, enemy of the people, and apparently it can get worse, which is fantasizing about them being shot. And of course, you're going to hear MAGA going, oh no, he meant that because they're not going to shoot, because the fake news are there, so no one's going to get hurt. No. You know exactly what he's saying there. I know you do, MAGA. And you're okay with it. And that disturbs me. Some may not be as okay with it, or at least have the patience to sit through these rallies. One of the things we'll get to is throughout today's rallies, especially, videos have been circulating of people just fleeing right as the rally starts. But let's get to that a little bit later. First, checking in on his North Carolina speech, the second rally of the day, he said this about Mitch McConnell.
Hopefully we get rid of Mitch McConnell pretty soon, because he helped him. That guy. Can you believe he endorsed me? Can you? Boy, that must have been a painful day in his life. Every time I think of it, he didn't have to do that. He provided the necessary votes. What a disgrace.
He's talking about, in the clip I just showed you, bullets flying through members of the press and going, I don't mind that actually. Or the idea of someone having to shoot through them to get to him is something he doesn't mind, to put it exactly literally or exactly near verbatim. If Mitch McConnell or Ted Cruz or Lindsey Graham or any of these people who we know better because they previously articulated stances that made that clear, or in Mitch McConnell's biography, it lays out how horribly but correctly he thinks of Donald Trump privately. If any of them cared about upholding our Constitution, this would not be the guy they publicly support. Given his all-out assault on the First Amendment with a free press, given him calling for the termination of the Constitution, saying his former top general, because he's not loyal enough, should get, or in times gone by, it would be justified for him to get the death penalty, execution, posting that post of Liz Cheney talking about her going in front of a military tribunal because she's a political enemy. None of that's pro-American. None of that's pro-Constitution, pro-Democratic. That is only pro-Trump, and that's what they're choosing. And Mitch McConnell for choosing that, do you know what he gets? Mockery by Trump. Trump doesn't even thank Mitch McConnell for humiliating himself to stand by Trump. Instead, he goes, that was probably a tough day. Meanwhile, at this rally and others, people 5 minutes in, reportedly this clip comes from, are heading for the exits.
Followed that sucker storm and followed it. But then I said, let them just get their stuff, and I figured FEMA would do a good job. They did a horrible job under the auspices of this.
And you can see that he's speaking there. So this isn't, the very end, he's about to wrap up. We're getting to our car so that we don't have to deal with traffic jam. This is 5 minutes in, and people are already going, all right, I waited all day to see him, but now I'm going to leave. This is obviously something Trump is really self-conscious about because he just keeps talking about it. Going back to his Pennsylvania rally, another moment I missed was him saying this.
That's what they were fighting for. They need more assets because we have big rallies. You know, we have 50,000. Interestingly, during the debate, she said, and your debates don't really draw, and everybody leaves early. So then I go, because when somebody says something, I think you have to refute it, right? I said, no, my debates never have an empty seat, and nobody ever leaves early. Nobody has ever left early. These guys will tell you.
They're pouring out early, okay? Mass exodus from these rallies right as he starts speaking. I don't know why. I don't know if they just get uncomfortable, if it's anything related to what he's saying or what, but it's definitely the case that this keeps happening. And it's really interesting that us pointing it out has broken Trump's brain so much because he keeps going back to it. And by the way, did you notice there? He had 2 brain glitches. Instead of saying rallies, he keeps saying debates. He says, during the debates, she said, your debates don't really draw. Your debates don't draw. And everyone leaves early. My debates never have an empty seat. He's trying to say rallies. So MAGA, when you're voting for him, as many of you I'm sure already have with the early votes and planning to on election day, you're voting for someone who stands against every principle that we should be able to unite around as Americans. So clearly, just screaming it at you, and whose brain is absolutely collapsing before our very eyes. Now, before getting back to Trump, his son was also holding a rally, and we're just going to do a bunch of different clips from different events throughout this very jam-packed day of campaigning, given that it's 2 days before the election. Don Jr. is still perpetuating the same lies about this.
At this point, we need Republican-like dog catchers, because who knows what they're going to do with those dogs. We've been seeing the videos. I don't know. They're like, no, Dad, how dare you say that was a dog? It's like, it's a dog, it's a cat, it's something with 4 legs and really small. I can tell you what it's not. It's not a ribeye. It's not something any of you have ever barbecued before, I can assure you that. So we'll let the fact checkers do their thing.
So I guess referencing Springfield again, something that just keeps being debunked and people keep being demonized because he doesn't have much else. And trying out his best stand-up there, too. It's always pitiful. Because I can tell you this. It's not a ribeye. Quick pause before going further. You can go to the wide shot. Jaden. What we're doing here in this different setup, you can see Cole back there. This will be where Josiah from Pondering Politics joins me for our election coverage starting at 4 p.m. Eastern. So please do join us for that. We'll be streaming from 4 p.m. Eastern until late into the night when we get election results, or know that we're not going to for the night. We might wrap things up if things are going to start back up in the morning, but I'm very much looking forward to it, so please do join us for that. Then we tune back into the Pennsylvania speech.
And when they say he gave a long and rambling speech, now say it was brilliant. Please say that. Nobody else could do it. It was brilliant.
He's... I don't know if he's begging the press or his followers there to say, when I give rambling speeches, or what I describe as the weave, say it's brilliant. Tell me I'm a genius. Tell me I'm handsome. Very weird. Alina Habba spoke as the crowd waited for Trump to arrive in North Carolina, and it was a disaster.
Sundays are usually for God, but these days, Sundays are also for God and garbage. So I'm so proud to represent America's garbage.
Okay. Referencing Biden's remark, you know, throughout these speeches, Trump calls his political opponents scum and vermin, and he recently called the Democratic Party demonic. But we don't really want to live in this world, at least if you hold my principles, where we always have to place ourselves in the center of the victimization world, right? We don't have to be wrapped up in this reality where we're the biggest victim and, oh, everyone's wronging us and all of the media is against us and all of the, even as Trump demonizes us more than we've ever demonized the other side. But because Biden slips up once and uses that term, they now proudly associate with it. Very strange. You also had Habba saying this questionable thing.
The thousands of people in this country suffering from fentanyl and all of the crisis with the drug and alcohol pouring in. Drugs is a real crisis in this country, and President Trump is going to ship it out and clean it up.
Why are you shipping it out? That's my question. Are we going to start dealing the drugs to other countries? I'm confused. No, and of course, if we want to deal with the very serious issue she's referencing, maybe Republicans shouldn't have stopped the Stop Fentanyl Act, which they did, because God forbid Biden gets credit for solving problems. She also said this, what?
How about that Epstein's Island list? I want to see that list.
What a crazy thing to say, as it's currently breaking news that hundreds of hours of audio of Epstein talking about Donald Trump are slowly being released. And Epstein described Trump, or I should say, Epstein said about Trump that Epstein was Trump's best friend for 10 years. Do you really want to see that list, Alina? I don't think so. More mockery about people leaving Trump's crowd here.
We've had the biggest rallies in history of any country. And every rally's full. You don't have any seats that are empty. You don't have anything yet. I mean, the one we had today.
This is coming to an end. These rallies are coming to an end. We've been doing them, think of it, for like 9 years. We started a year before, and we've had tremendous success. In 2016, we did phenomenally, right? We went in, they gave us a 3% chance, and sort of like amazing, right? 3%.
As he's saying that, people are on the way out. And then we get to a little bit more sanity. Vice President Harris was asked about Trump planning to preemptively claim victory, as he did in 2020. Even if there's not any justification, on election night, he's probably going to come out and declare victory. So that if, as we count more votes, we realize Harris has won, he can say, no, but see, I already claimed victory, so they must have stolen it from me. And I thought Harris's response to this question was good.
In 2020, just his comments in the past few days seem to suggest, that he's thinking about it. How will you and your campaign respond if he does the same thing again?
So here we are on the Sunday before the election, and I would ask, in particular, people who have not yet voted, to not fall for his tactic, which I think includes suggesting to people that if they vote, their vote won't matter. Suggesting to people that somehow the integrity of our voting system is not intact so that they don't vote. And again, I think that it is a tactic. It is meant to distract from the fact that we have and support free and fair elections in our country. We did in 2020. He lost. And the systems that are in place for this election in 2024 have integrity. They are good systems, and the vote of the people will determine the outcome of this election, and everyone must know that their vote is their power to determine the outcome of the election, and their vote will count. It does matter.
Thank you.
Okay.
And she's saying this about an election that could go the way of her opponent because she cares about democracy. She's saying, hey, Trump supporters, if you think it's inevitable that we're going to steal it, that's not true. Your vote will matter, and it could matter for him. It could help him. But I'm willing to say that and clarify that because I actually care about the basic tenets of democracy. And I don't see the excuse anymore. I've worked it out a bunch of different ways. Unless you actually stick your head into the dirt and you do that inside of a cave, inside of a bunker, 100 feet down. And you don't get any information, and all you know is one fact about Trump, which is that you felt he did something for the economy or something. Not even a fact, a feeling. You have one feeling remaining. Otherwise, how do you watch these? Are you seeing the clips? Are you watching Trump's rhetoric? Him begging you to understand how little he cares about our constitutional process? Are you seeing how Harris is saying she intends on checking off her to-do list on helping the American people, while Trump intends on checking off an enemies list, which is absolutely backed up by what Trump's saying every single day? Trump's out there threatening the media. You just don't care. I'll forgive you for any past support if you'll just let go of this need for your identity to associate with him. This is not America, and we don't have to let it be. And I'm shocked that we're so close, and it's so possible that we could let it be. And even if Harris wins, which I hope that she will, still it's going to be close, which is disturbing. Meanwhile, Obama made a really good point about one of the things that people get in their head as to why they should vote for Trump.
Trump's other big idea is to slap a tariff on everything from food to TVs. Now, almost every economist who has looked at this idea says that won't lower prices, that makes prices higher. And when he's challenged on this point, Trump will brag about, well, look at gas prices. They were $2 a gallon when I was in office. You know why gas was so cheap? Because there was a global lockdown during COVID and nobody was driving. And he's talking about it like it was the good old days. I want us to remember that. Yes, gas was super cheap because we were stuck inside the house. Nobody was buying gas.
Yes, the demand collapse that led to prices being so low. We should not want to go back to the conditions that caused that. And that very economic instability led to Trump making that deal that then cut oil production, leading to a spike in prices into Biden-Harris. Oh no, you're just trying to blame Trump. We've gone those specifics before. Deal with the facts of what I'm saying, not your feelings about how, no, it must have been perfect when Trump was president. And going back to the Harris clip, think about this, how terrible. We're going to have a lot of fun on election day. We just are, okay? I'm really hopeful. And I'm going to sit here with Josiah, as right now his spot's being filled by a water. He's going to be here, and we're going to have a ball going through the day of coverage. But it is really easy, as I try to keep my spirits high, to just get so angry. It's so justified. If every segment was me just yelling, that would be justified. Because we know for sure, it's not even a breaking news item that Trump's obviously going to come out, claim victory, even if he didn't win. And he's obviously going to convince people our entire democratic process is broken. And then we're going to deal with that for decades. Think about that. Because of him. He is so broken, so weak, so sensitive that he has to convince tens of millions of Americans that either way the election goes, he won. It's going to be dealt with for decades, the election denialism and the lack of belief from a lot of people that we even have a functioning democracy when we have an incredibly functioning democracy with its flaws. And he does it all because he just can't handle what every other presidential candidate has been able to, which is you might lose. Then another just miscellaneous clip of Vice President Harris here getting asked about how women could win her the election. We've seen the gender gap, but I love the way that she handles this question. It's just like when she gets asked about the black male population and how she's had, at least polling indicates, some struggles there compared to past elections and past Democratic candidates, and how Trump is winning over more individuals there and in other demographics. And she always answers it similarly, and I appreciate it.
Do you believe that female voters, women, will make the difference in this election?
I believe all Americans are going to make the difference. And I intend to be a president for all Americans. I am working to earn the vote of all Americans, regardless of their gender, race, or geographic location. Because, listen, I think part of the issue at play right now is we need leadership in this country that recognizes the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. I think this is part of the reason that so many people are voting for me who may have formerly voted for my opponent, because they're just exhausted with the approach that's about trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other. People are exhausted with demeaning who we are as a country. They want a leader who has a sense of optimism and a work ethic on behalf of them to actually seek solutions, common ground, and get things done.
Of course, it is important strategically for her campaign to figure out, all right, we're really strong among women voters. How do we continue that trend? So you got to acknowledge demographically what's happening there. How do we maximize for the variables that will help us electorally? For her as the candidate, though, saying, I don't really want to get into this splice and dice of the electorate and how, this group could be what wins me the election or that group. Trump has said, if I lose, it might be, it's probably going to have a lot to do with Jewish voters not voting for me enough. I blame the Jewish people. And Harris is saying, I'm not doing that. I want women to vote for me. I want men to vote for me. I'm working for everyone's vote because regardless of your identity, you want a president who, and then list off the campaign promises, the ideological differences, and the philosophical differences between Harris and Trump. Perfect answer. Similar to her getting asked about the historic nature of her candidacy and why she doesn't talk more about that. And she says, you can see my identity. People know it. I don't have to tell them. Essentially, people know this would be historic. That's not why they should vote for me. They should vote for me, not on identity, but on policy. Brilliant. I'll leave it there. Let me know what you thought of all of it in the comments. And if you do want to go a step further, if you subscribed, you're part of the Beasley Brigade. Welcome. But if you're thinking, I gotta move up in the ranks in the brigade, you can do that by clicking the join button below, which is becoming a member.
We have to show that the MAGA way will only ever end in electoral defeat.
Just completely off the rails consistently, openly, brazenly, and blatantly insult. It is a sign of his own desperation.
So friends, if you're eligible voters, I want you to keep this in mind. Donald Trump will never be held accountable for anything he does if you give him back the keys to the White House. The stakes are too high.